Welcome to another deep dive with us. This time, we're heading over to Kenya to take a look at their new plan for coffee. It's called the Coffee Bill 2023.
2023.
And yeah, it might not sound like the most thrilling read, but trust me,
Oh, it's fascinating.
it's packed with interesting stuff.
What's really cool is how ambitious this is. It's not just like they're tweaking things here and there.
Right.
They're going for a complete overhaul of their coffee industry,
Total transformation.
trying to make it a global powerhouse.
So imagine this, like fresh from the Senate, March 21st, 2024.
Wow, so recent.
It's on its way to the National Assembly right now, this bill.
I see.
And it wants to regulate practically everything.
Everything.
From like the second a coffee bean sprouts in the soil
Wow.
all the way to, you sipping your morning cup.
So bean to cup, literally.
Yeah. They're trying to reclaim Kenya's spot as a top coffee producer.
Yeah, they've been kind of in the shadows for a bit, haven't they?
Yeah, and it's not just about like quality anymore. It's like the whole package. Sustainability, transparency, you name it.
So it's like they're building a brand new coffee reputation.
Right. And they've got some serious players in charge. First up, you've got the Coffee Board of Kenya.
Ah, the coffee board. So are we talking like stuffy board meetings here?
No, not at all.
Okay, good.
Think of them more like the guardians of Kenyan coffee.
Guardians, I like that.
They have real power, like they issue permits and licenses.
Okay.
They set quality standards. They even manage price fluctuations. They're like conductors of this whole coffee orchestra.
Wow, so they're keeping everything in sync.
Yeah, exactly. But it's not a one-man show. The bill keeps mentioning county governments, too.
So they're not just sitting back and letting the board handle everything.
Nope, they're definitely key players.
I see.
They're like the ones who take this grand vision and make it work on a local level.
Ah, so they're the boots on the ground.
Right, like they handle registration and licensing and even like develop coffee laws within their specific counties.
No, it's like a team effort.
Totally. So we've got the big picture, but let's zoom in on the coffee itself.
Okay, get into the nitty-gritty.
This bill gets really specific about how things are done at every stage. It's almost like they're saying, this is how you grow Kenyan coffee, folks.
Interesting. And what kind of things are we talking about here?
I mean, we're talking everything, like the farm inputs they can use, how the beans are processed, even like how coffee's transported within Kenya. You need a special permit to move those beans around.
Wow, seriously? A permit?
Yeah. They're even giving each batch of coffee like a unique number.
A number? What for?
It's called an outturn number for traceability. Talk about taking things seriously.
That's pretty impressive, though. It shows they're really committed to quality.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of quality, there's this one detail that just blew my mind.
Okay, hit me.
They've totally banned the blending of different grades of Kenyan coffee for export.
Whoa, like no mixing allowed. That's bold.
Right. It's like they're saying Kenyan coffee is special and we're not going to dilute it with anything less.
It's a powerful statement for sure.
Okay.
But all this regulation, does it leave any room for the farmers themselves?
That's a great question, and this is where things get really interesting. The bill introduces something called the direct settlement system.
Direct settlement system. Okay, I'm all ears.
So imagine you're a coffee farmer in Kenya. Traditionally, you'd sell your beans through this system with lots of middlemen.
Yeah.
But with this new system, you can connect directly with buyers.
Cutting out the middleman.
Exactly. And that means potentially getting a much better price for your coffee. Plus, the payments are all handled securely through banks.
So more control for the farmers, potentially more profit, and more transparency.
It's a pretty big deal. But with all these changes, who's making sure everyone's up to speed? Well, that's where the Coffee Research and Training Institute of Kenya comes in.
Oh, the Institute. So they're like the brains of the operation.
Yeah, exactly. They're responsible for, like, research, training programs, and even developing a climate-resilient coffee breeding program.
Climate resilient. So they're looking ahead, preparing for the future.
Yeah, they're not just focused on today, they're thinking about the long term. And get this, they're sharing their findings with the entire coffee sector.
So it's not about competition, it's about collaboration.
Exactly. The goal is to elevate the whole industry.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, this is still a business, right?
Of course. Got to keep the lights on.
And the bill's got some ambitious economic goals. Boosting exports, attracting foreign investment, establishing Kenya as a real leader in the coffee market.
So it's a win-win, good for the farmers, good for the economy.
That's the idea. And the direct sales element plays a huge role in that. It could really change the pricing dynamics.
It's like they're rewiring the whole coffee circuit board.
Totally. It's a huge undertaking. But the potential is enormous. more transparency, greater efficiency, and ultimately more profits for the farmers themselves.
It's really exciting to see a country taking such a proactive approach.
It is. But okay, we've talked regulations, research, economics, but what about the people actually drinking the coffee?
Yeah, how does this bill impact the consumer experience? Will we even notice a difference?
That's the big question. And the bill actually addresses that. Remember that ban on blending different grades?
Oh yeah, no mixing allowed.
Well, that's a game changer for consumers.
Really? How so?
By stopping that blending, they're raising the overall quality of Kenyan coffee. So when you buy a bag, you know you're getting the real deal, those unique Kenyan flavors.
So it's a guarantee of authenticity and quality? I can see people paying a premium for that.
Exactly. And the bill also pushes for those certification schemes that guarantee origin and ethical sourcing. It's not just about taste anymore. It's about the whole story behind your cup.
It's like that farm-to-table idea, but for coffee.
Yeah.
Knowing where your beans came from, how they were grown.
Yeah. Consumers are way more aware now.
Definitely.
They want to know their coffee is ethically sourced and sustainable.
Yeah.
This bill's responding to that.
It's smart. They're tapping into that consumer demand.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so we've covered regulations, research, economics, consumer experience. But there's one thing we haven't touched on yet,
Oh, what's that?
the environmental impact.
Ah, yes. A crucial consideration these days.
We talked about that climate resilient breeding program, which is fantastic, but does the bill address sustainability more broadly?
That's where things get a little fuzzy. They mention sustainable practices, but it's not very specific.
So there's room for improvement.
Yeah, definitely. It's an area where everyone needs to work together. The farmers, the policymakers, even the consumers.
To figure out what sustainability actually means for Kenyan coffee.
Exactly. And how to make those practices work for everyone.
It's like they've planted the seeds, but it takes more to cultivate a whole ecosystem.
A good analogy.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of ecosystems, there's something I find interesting about how this bill tackles marketing.
Oh, tell me more.
They keep talking about this Kenyan coffee mark of origin.
Right, like a brand identity.
Exactly. Think champagne, Scotch whiskey. They want that same level of recognition.
It's smart. It links the coffee to its origin, creates that premium feel.
It protects the farmers, too, because that brand recognition benefits them directly.
It's a reminder that good economics can go hand in hand with ethics.
Absolutely. It's about creating a system that works for everyone.
Okay, so we've really dug into this Kenyan coffee bill, from top to bottom.
It's a fascinating piece of legislation.
But like any big change, there will be challenges, right? Unforeseen obstacles, things we can't predict.
You're right. It's a grand experiment, and we'll only see the true impact over time.
That's what's so exciting about this. It's a living document. It will adapt and evolve.
It'll be interesting to see where it goes from here.
And that's where our listeners come in. We've given you the ingredients. Now it's your turn to explore.
Go deeper, ask questions, stay curious.
Because that's how we learn and grow, just like with a good cup of coffee.
It's about appreciating the complexity, the nuances.
Exactly. So go forth, dear listeners, and keep exploring the world of Kenyan coffee. There's a whole world of knowledge out there waiting to be discovered.
And if you find something interesting, share it. We love hearing from fellow coffee enthusiasts.
And we hope you learned a thing or two along the way. But remember, this is just the start of the conversation.
Keep those questions brewing.
Stay curious, stay engaged, and most importantly, keep exploring the world of coffee.
Until next time, happy sipping.